And look, let's go over it really quick. Let's talk about it. How we feeling about it? You guys, I see you talking about it already. Offensive line, I think we can all agree we are excited about it. We lost 2 to USC, 2 big ones to USC, which I talked about on Monday, where I felt they didn't fit the Billy scheme. They fit more of the pro style offense, which is happening out there in USC. That's fine, right? It makes more of a sense that we lost those kids. We lost a few other ones, but they weren't really that high on the depth chart, right? It's expected. But what we were able to bring in and what we were able to bring in from the 2023 class, is it going to be a little bit of a downgrade? Because yes, we lost 2 guys to the draft. Those guys were draft ready. It's going to be hard to replace that quality, but I believe in us having as many offensive line coaches as we do, and what Billy's been able to do with offensive linemen in the past. I feel very confident that it won't take long for us to be back into that, that same where we were last year, if not better, to be honest with you, because it feels like all the toxic is going to be out of the room. The next is going to be is the running back room, which I think we can all agree is going to be it's going to be better, because Montreal's going to be better. Trevor's going to be better. Trayon's coming in, and we got the kid from Tulane, Cameron. It's going to be a solid running back room. I think it's going to be, again, it's just, there's no way it's worse, in my opinion, because the two healthy backs have a whole year underneath their belt in the SEC, under Billy, etc. Going to be great. Wide receiver core. I feel like where the wide receiver core was last year, the only way it can go is up. And I think with the kids that are coming in, I think the wide receiver core is even better. I really do. Now, a lot of it is going to be freshman made with Eugene, Aiden, and Andy Jean, and I understand that. I still take that any day of the week. We still got Jaquavion Frazier, still got guys that are coming back. Ricky's still going to be there. I really think this wide receiver core is going to be healthy. On top of the 2 tight ends we got, Arlo Sportingham, and I can't remember the kid's name who enrolled just this year, who was a good commit 2 years ago. So, again, right now, if we're looking at that, I'm thinking only where but up. Offensive line, I won't say that it's better than last year, but the upside is going to be great. So far, we're looking pretty good. The next big question mark, I know what everybody's freaking out about, but it feels like Gator Nation's starting to turn it around a little bit and buy into the Hurts a little bit. They're looking at the film. I've been seeing people watching it. We did a little digging at the beginning of the cast of data. I think Graham Mertz is going to be a better fix for the Florida Gators. I'm not saying better than Anthony Richardson. I think the upside for Anthony and his athletic ability is obviously way better than what Graham Mertz can produce. However, I think what Billy is running, the process that he's running, I think Graham Mertz is going to be a better fit. And for that, I have to say, I think right now, and I know you're going to give me crap, like, oh, there's no way. I think the quarterback room has the upside of being better and should be better. And to back that up, Steve, I'm going to pass the ball to you to read off a few stats for us from Graham Mertz last year and a Wisconsin offense to an Anthony Richardson in this offense. As you were, sir.
Yeah, let's break that down, right? Because I think what everybody looks at with Richardson in the offense last year was these big explosive plays and just this upside in this athletic ability that just couldn't be tapped. But let's just go into the actual numbers. Let's talk about what both of these quarterbacks actually accomplished on the field from a black and white number standpoint for the entire 22 football season. Mertz had 286 attempts, 164 completions for a 57.3 completion rate. That gave him 21, we'll just call it 2,100 yards. That's a 7.5 average completion, right? 19 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. That gave him a QBR college ratings of a 135. Let's go to Anthony. Now, look, Anthony was dynamic on the ground with his legs. He had those ESPN highlights of these 80-yard passes in the air. But let's just get into the numbers. He also had 327 attempts, significantly more than Mertz. 176 completions, which put him at a 53.8 completion percentage. That is 5%, roughly 5% lower. He did have 2,500 yards versus Mertz at 2,100 yards, but that's a whole lot more attempts to get to that extra 200 yards on the average. Now, his average per pass, 7.8, almost identical to what Graham Mertz was able to do with his offense. The touchdown to interception ratio, 17 touchdowns to 9 interceptions. I don't see much of a difference there. I don't see a whole lot of difference. And if you want to get down into the QBR, Anthony's QBR was a 131, which is less than Mertz. Everybody keeps looking at Graham Mertz as if he is just a turnover machine. He has no ability to run an offense. He has no upside. He's got no merit to be a transfer to the University of Florida. I staunchly disagree. Even these numbers by themselves being so close, but the fact that Mertz is built to run a power offense, a Wisconsin offense which puts 2 tight ends on the field. You have these counter trays. You've got these sweeping like toss sweeps. Look, for what I have seen, Billy wants to be a run-first offense and use the run to open up the pass. He doesn't want to be a pass-heavy offense, all right? It reminds me a little bit of what we saw from Florida State this year. Jordan Travis didn't come out there carving up offenses or defenses from the start. We softened them up because we had such a strong running game.
Which did allow Jordan to have confidence when throwing the football.
To see the field and to have some opportunities that he likely wouldn't have had. Look, if I'm looking at Graham Mertz and I'm looking at Anthony Richardson and I take out the flash plays, the 80-yard run, the 60-yard run, the ones that just show up on ESPN. If I'm looking for the quarterback that is going to be who can drive me consistently up the field, I don't see a difference between these guys. I don't feel that there's been a step backwards.
Here's where the upgrade, in my opinion, is. I feel like what Billy was battling with last year is Anthony had a foot on the way out the entire season. So Anthony had to try to make himself as flashy and as bright as possible to everyone else except Billy and the team, which, in my opinion, causes for poor mistakes, causes for you to make, mishap judgment on third and 4, 3rd and 5, right, and not get the first down, but instead trying to make a big play. I believe Mertz is going to come in and just be a system quarterback. Come in and do, hey, here's what you're expected to do. It feels like we're building a 49ers type of offense where it's like we've got playmakers on the wide receiver core. We're gonna stack you with some big tight ends, but you're gonna have some dogs at running back. I need you to just not make a dumb mistake. Don't throw any picks. And when I need you, you got to step up. But it's gonna be wide open because they're gonna have to be considerate of the run the entire time. That's how it looks. If that's me, I'm excited for what's to come. And look, I projected us to go 10-2 at the earlier this year. Way too early. A lot of you guys laughed at me. As we get further along, Kentucky now feels a lot more doable. They're losing a lot of people. They lost Smoke to Colorado. They're losing Will Levis. Look, I don't think Kentucky is a feat anymore than what we thought it was. Tennessee, to me, is still up in the air. I claimed lightning in the bottle. We'll know next year whether I was right or wrong, but that's a game that we can still win. So, offensive side of things, health-wise of the program, really excited about. Defensive side of things, the line, thick. Big dogs coming in. We lost, obviously, Brenton Cox, but with the loss of Brenton Cox, nobody noticed. So I'm not even going to count that as a loss because once he went out, I don't feel like the D-line really struggled. Gervon Dexter's going to be a big L, but I feel like, he has made strides. With Kelby Collins, Will Norman, that's just a class. We're not even talking about what we've done in the portal, okay? What he was able to pick up in the portal with Cameron Jackson and Caden Jones, I believe, from Louisville. Massive pickups for the D-line.
That sounds right, yeah.
So the D-line, in my opinion, is going to look healthier. We're going to have Big Dez and McClellan. They're having their second year. That D-line looks better already. So the trenches looks like it's going to be an upgrade. We should be ecstatic. Cornerbacks, I'm not quite sure yet on that. Linebackers, Ventrell Miller was the guy. He was the heartbeat of the defense. So what does Billy go and do? He gets 3 of them. He gets 3 guys to fill in the one spot. I'll take it. You'll get 3 quantity guys to fill one big quality dude. Sometimes that might be better than just having the one big guy. You got guys that can come in and out. So, again, the defense may be kind of where the hole's at. And, look, we'll see what happens. I think the defense, in my opinion, based on what we saw, how people left and what's been said on Twitter, might have been where the most toxic players were from last year. I could be wrong. This is just kind of that's a 100% personal just take on what I've seen on how things have been accurate. But, look, the defense is going to be, I think, where there's going to be a lot to what could come with the cornerbacks and safeties. We'll see what happens. But, look, the more I talk about it, the more excited I get. I'm ready to see what's going to happen. But I know we were a little worried at first. But, look, we're building the trenches. We're building the thick lines. We're building like Bama built their teams for so many years. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it plays out. But I think we should be excited. for next year.
I think you make a big point there with the trenches, Shelton, and that's if you look at Georgia's offensive line, these guys are massive. They're NFL ready by the time they're sophomores. If you look at Alabama's offensive line, most of these guys are almost NFL ready by the time that they're sophomores. The defensive line the same way. I mean, look at what TCU was going up against on both sides of the line in that national championship. They looked like what we were watching Keontae Goodwin toss around on the field, right?
Sure.
The game at the college level is won inside 5 yards of the line of scrimmage both ways. If you can control the line of scrimmage on the defensive side of the ball, it's going to be a hellish night for the other team. They can't run the ball. They're going to scramble to get rid of the ball. If you can block consistently, run block, pass block for your quarterback and running backs, it all happens right there.
Down.
Exactly. The flash happens with the skill players, but the consistency of a college football game right now happens within 2.5 yards either side of the line of scrimmage on every play.
Billy has his guys. So the excuse of Billy has his guys now. So next year, I'm going to be way more critical, right, on a lot of things. But so far, I'm loving it. He's moving silent but deadly. He's moving like a G in lasagna. I've been saying that a lot lately, but that's what it feels like. We got a super chat from Trip Flimma says the O-line's looking like IHOP because they be eating. They look big, baby. They look big. Good one versus Big Dez.
That's good.
Bro, iron sharpens iron too. It's gonna be a good one. I'm beyond fired up. Florida Gator basketball 79 versus South Carolina 55. I love it. Look, basketball's starting to get a little bit of groove too. So it's good to see that. We got a big stretch coming up here. I know some good teams. So Cam Curl.
I'd love to see a board drill. An offensive line versus a defensive line. Just the old school Oklahoma drill with Goodwin and maybe Big Dez going up against one another. See if we can't maybe find some practice footage of that once those guys throw some pads on.